Now coming to the adverse reaction of the thiourea derivatives or the thioamide drugs. Now the adverse reactions are seen in the 5% of the cases. Generally they are mild with the rash, urticaria, pruritus, lymphadenopathy, arthralgia can be seen. Then in some patients there are agranulocytosis is a serious adverse reaction which can be reported. Then hepatotoxicity can occur with the propylthiouracil, and you can see the hypothyroidism which is reversible. And if the patient develops a granulocytosis, then that is a serious adverse reaction, and so repeated blood counting is must when the patient is on these drugs, that is on the thiamide derivatives. You have to do regular blood count, and you have to ask the patient if he develops sore throat or the fever or any signs of the agranulocytosis, and if hypothyroidism develops, it is reversible. Now coming to the therapeutic uses of the thiamide drugs or the carbimazole and the propylthiouracil. Now the main therapeutic uses of these drugs are that is the thiourea derivatives are the first is in the use of the Graves disease or the toxic nodular goiter. Now in Graves disease these drugs are started, and the effect is seen after slowly. They have a slow onset of action. Around 2 weeks are required for the effects to be seen. So they can be started at low dose, and they can be given, and they are only given in those patients in whom surgery is not possible or in whom radioactive iodine is contraindicated. Then coming to the next use of the thiourea derivatives or the thioamides, second group of drugs, second use is the in the along with the radioactive iodine. So along with the radioactive iodine they can be given, because radioactive iodine has a slow onset of action. Around 4 weeks are required for the onset of the action, and so before that these drugs can be, if they are started with the radioactive iodine, they can achieve early control. Then third use is preoperatively. Preoperatively in hyperthyroidism, they should be given before surgery, because they help to make the patient euthyroid. So these are the main uses, and the fourth use is in the treatment of the thyrotoxic crisis. So in thyrotoxic crisis they are given along with the they are given to control the hyperthyroidism or decrease the level of the thyroid hormones. Propylthiouracil is preferred to carbimazole in thyrotoxic crisis, because propylthiouracil prevents peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. Now coming to the second group of drugs, that is the drugs which interfere with the release of the thyroid hormone. These are the Lugol, Sodine and the iodide. Now these drugs, that is the iodides and the lugol-sodine, which interfere with the hormonal release and promote the storage of the thyroid hormone. These drugs were the oldest drugs used in hyperthyroidism. Now they act by inhibiting the release of the thyroid hormones, and they are the fastest acting thyroid inhibitors. Their action becomes apparent within 24 hours in the treatment of the hyperthyroidism, and they lower the level of the thyroid hormones in the plasma, and they decrease the basal metabolic rate. The gland becomes less vascular and it becomes firm. The actions are apparent within 24 hours. Now coming to the mechanism of action of the iodides. Now coming to the mechanism of action of the iodides. Iodides cause first important action is that they inhibit the thyroid hormone release and promote the storage of the thyroid hormone within the lumen of the thyroid follicular cells. So this is the that is they cause the thyroid constipation, that is they shut off the release of the hormone from the thyroid lumen. They promote the storage of the hormone inside the gland and prevent its release. This is known as thyroid constipation. Then second action is the Wolff-Chaikoff effect. Now this Wolff-Chaikoff effect is seen, means that they inhibit the synthesis of the monoiodotyrosine and the diiodotyrosine, that is they inhibit iodination of the tyrosine residues. So the iodination of the tyrosine residues in the thyroglobulin molecule is inhibited, that is formation of MIT and DIT is inhibited, and this is known as the Wolff-Chaikoff effect. So synthesis is inhibited, but this later on after some time there is escape of this action, and this action is not seen after some time. Then coming to the third action is that it reduces the vascularity of the gland and makes the gland more firm. Now this is because the iodides, they reduce the responsiveness of the thyroid gland to the TSH. This is due to the decreased responsiveness of the thyroid gland to the TSH, and hence the vascularity of the gland is reduced and the gland becomes more firm. This is observed because if the iodides are given with the thiourea group of drug in the treatment of hyperthyroidism, then only this effect is seen. If thiourea group of drugs are given alone, this firmness of the gland is not seen, and vascularity is also not decreased. So this is seen only when iodides are given with the thiourea group of drug, and this is because of decreased responsiveness of the gland to the TSH. Then the fourth important action is that iodides itself decrease their own transport inside the thyroid follicular cells. So they inhibit their own transport. So these are the main mechanism of action of the thyroid iodides, and the main action is nothing but the inhibition of the release of the thyroid hormones and promoting the storage of the thyroid hormones within the thyroid gland, that is thyroid constipation. Now coming to the adverse reactions of the iodide. Iodide may cause allergic reactions in the form of angioedema, laryngeal edema, arthralgia, lymphadenopathy, eosinophilia, drug fever can occur. Then on chronic use it can lead to iodism. Iodism is characterized by the rhinorrhea, lacrimation, salivation. So these are the characteristic features of the iodism. Then there can be hypothyroidism on overuse, and if it is used in pregnancy, it can lead to the it crosses the placental barrier and can lead to the fetal hypothyroidism, and so there can be cretinism in the newborn baby. So this may occur if the iodides are given during the pregnancy. Iodides may precipitate thyrotoxicosis in a patient of non-toxic goiter. So this can occur sometime in some individuals. Thyrotoxicosis can occur due to the administration of iodides, and this is known as Jod-Basedow effect. So these are the various adverse reactions to the iodides. Now coming to the preparations of the iodides, these are the Lugol's iodine and the epodate sodium. Now Lugol's iodine is prepared by dissolving 5 gram of iodine in the 100 ml of 10% potassium iodide solution, and in this way the Lugol's iodine is prepared. Now coming to the therapeutic uses of the iodides. Now iodides are used for the prevention of the endemic goiter, that is the first use, prevention of the endemic goiter. Then second use is in the preoperative preparation of the gland, preoperative preparation before doing thyroidectomy. Now before doing thyroidectomy, it is essential that the patient should be euthyroid, and this can be achieved by giving the thiourea group of drugs. Then to make the gland firm and less vascular, that is it is also essential to make the gland firm and less vascular, and this can be achieved by giving the Lugol's iodine for 10 to 14 days before the surgery. Now Lugol's iodine, as you know, that it makes the gland more firm and less vascular by decreasing the responsiveness of the gland to the TSH. So in this way this can be achieved, and this is the most important use of the Lugol's iodine. Then third use is in the hyperthyroidism or in treatment of thyrotoxic crisis, that is emergency control of the hyperthyroidism, and this can be achieved by giving the iodides also. Iodides with the thiourea group of drugs can be given, but here you have to start first the thiourea group of drugs and then you have to give the iodides. Otherwise iodides have only action on that they only inhibit the release of the preformed hormone, so they don't generally block the synthesis of the hormone. And to block the synthesis of the hormone, first you have to start with the thiourea group of drugs, and after that you have to give the iodides. So this should be kept in mind, that before giving the iodides you have to give the thiourea group of drugs in the thyrotoxic crisis. Now why you should not give the iodides before giving the thiourea group of drugs in the thyrotoxic crisis? Because in thyrotoxic crisis, if we give the iodides, initially. Iodides, if they are given, they increase the hormone content of the gland, because they are also causing synthesis. They may also help in the synthesis, as you have studied in the mechanism of action of the iodides, that they also cause the so they may increase the synthesis of the thyroid hormones, and that can lead to the increase in the amount of the thyroid hormones inside the gland. So this may that is not acceptable. So first you have to block the synthesis by giving the thyroid derivatives, which can decrease the synthesis of the thyroid hormones, and then the iodides will take over the action and will block the release of the thyroid hormones. Now coming to the next drug, that is the radioactive iodine. Now radioactive iodine, in this iodine 131 is used. The half life of iodine 131 is 8 days. Now iodine 131, when it is given to the patient, it emits the gamma and the beta radiations. The beta radiation penetrate around 3 millimeter up to the tissues, in the soft tissues, and then it will dissipate the energy and emit the ionizing radiations, and this ionizing radiation causes destruction of the thyroid follicular cells, and that will be replaced by fibrous tissue, and in this way the gland is destroyed, and that will lead to the reduction in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone. So in this way the hormone level will fall, but this action is slow to develop. It requires around 1 month to develop, and the maximum effect can be seen after 3 to 4 months. Now coming to the preparation of the radioactive iodine, iodine 131 is used. It is given by oral route in the form of the solution or the capsules, and the dose is expressed in microcurie. So 3 to 10 microcurie is the dose. It can be individualized depending on the response. Now after giving the radioactive iodine to the patient, the first dose is given on OPD basis in microcurie, that is 3 to 10 microcurie is the dose. Depending on the you can start with the minimum dose and see the response. Generally the effect appears after a longer period of time, around after 4 weeks. You have to wait till the effects are apparent, and maximum effect can be seen after 3 to 6 months. So most of the patient they respond to the first dose of the drug. After the first dose, 50% of the patients become euthyroid, and second dose is not required. But second dose can be given only after 6 months. So you have to wait till 6 months, and then you can start with the second dose. So in this way you have to start with the minimum dose to avoid the side effects, or to prevent the side effects of the radioactive iodine. Now coming to the uses of the radioactive iodine. Radioactive iodine is used in hyperthyroidism. Generally it is preferred in those patients where the surgery is contraindicated, like the patients of the severe thyroid carcinoma. Then in elderly patients where the surgery is contraindicated. Then in cardiac disease, and in patients who don't respond to the thiourea group of drugs, or in whom the relapse is common, or who don't respond to the thioamide group of drugs. So in these patients you can start with the radioactive iodine. Now coming to the adverse reaction of the radioactive iodine. Radioactive iodine generally leads to sore throat. So sore throat is a common side effect, which is not that much serious. Then if the drug is given during pregnancy, it can lead to the fetal goiter or fetal hypothyroidism. Then third important side effect is the thyroid carcinoma may occur later in life, and the important adverse reaction is the hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism generally occurs after giving radioactive iodine, after many years of the treatment, and so the patient should be followed up to see whether there is any occurrence of the hypothyroidism. Generally if the dose of the radioactive iodine is minimum, if minimal dose is used, then there is no fear of hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism can occur if larger doses are given to the patient and repeated doses are given. Now radioactive iodine should not be given in pregnancy. It is strictly contraindicated, because radioactive iodine can lead to the damage of fetal thyroid. So fetal thyroid gets destroyed and can lead to the permanent hypothyroidism in the fetus or in the newborn baby. So this is very dangerous. Hence, radioactive iodine is contraindicated in pregnancy as well as in children. Now coming to the treatment of the pharmacotherapy of the hyperthyroidism. Now hyperthyroidism means elevated plasma thyroid hormone level, that is T3 and T4 level are raised. Now the treatment of hyperthyroidism aims at reducing the synthesis and release of the thyroid hormone, because the pathology of the or pathogenesis of hyperthyroidism is not clear, and hence the treatment is symptomatic and empirical, and it aims at reducing T3 and T4 level, their synthesis and release of thyroid hormone from the thyroid glands. The TSH is reduced in the plasma. The level of TSH is very low in hyperthyroidism, and the we have seen what are the classifications of the drugs. So there are mainly three classes of drugs which are used in the treatment of the hyperthyroidism, and these are the antithyroid drugs, that is the thyroid derivatives, then the iodides, and the radioactive iodine. Now let us see one by one. Now coming to the advantages of the thioamide drugs or the thiourea derivatives. These drugs can be started in almost all the patients of hyperthyroidism. There are no any major contraindications for the use of the thiourea group of drugs. These drugs are well tolerated. Side effects are very less. Only in 5% of the cases there can be adverse reactions. Um, the drugs are having slow onset of action, so the effects are generally seen after 2 weeks, and maximum effect can be seen at 2 to 3 months. So you can see that the euthyroid status can be achieved after 3 months of the treatment, and the to maintain the euthyroid status, you have to give the maintenance doses to the patient. Generally after 2 years of continuous therapy, you can see that the complete remission has occurred, or the permanent cure has been achieved with the use of the thioamides. Then other advantage is there that if hypothyroidism occurs, it is reversible with these drugs, and they can be safely given in children where the radioactive iodine is contraindicated. They can be also safely given in the pregnancy where the radioactive iodine is contraindicated. And these are the major advantages of the thioamides or the thiourea group of the drugs. Now coming to the drawbacks of the thiourea group of drugs, the first major disadvantage is that these drugs they are very slow to act, and lifelong treatment is required, follow-up is required, and so the treatment is not possible in uneducated and uncooperative patient. Patient's cooperation is required for the follow-up. Second point is that the response is seen only in 40 to 60% of the cases, and in some and remaining cases don't respond. And also recurrence is common after giving the thiourea group of drugs. So some patients they require radioactive iodine or surgery is needed for such patients in whom recurrence is common. And the next drawback is that agranulocytosis can be seen in some of the patients, which is life threatening. So these are the major drawbacks with the thiourea group of the drugs. Now coming to the advantages of the radioactive iodine. Radioactive iodine, the treatment is very convenient. It can be given on the OPD basis. The treatment is pleasant. There is no fear of the treatment. And when the radioactive iodine is given, the cure is permanent. Permanent cure can be achieved, and response is 100%. It is effective in all the cases. Recurrence rate is less. Then it can be given in patients who are uneducated, uncooperative, who don't want to follow. Then it can be given in all the patients above 35 years of age. Then it can be given in patients in whom surgery is contraindicated or surgery is not possible. Then it can be given in those patients in whom the thiourea group of drugs are not effective and who are not responding to the thiourea group of drugs, or in those patients who are having recurrence with the thiourea group of drugs. Now coming to the disadvantages of the radioactive iodine. Now the drawbacks of the or disadvantages of the radioactive iodine is that if the radioactive iodine is given to the patient, there can be hypothyroidism, and that can lead to permanent hypothyroidism, and hence follow-up is essential. Second is that it is contraindicated in children, It is contraindicated in pregnancy, should not be given in pregnant and the lactating mothers and even in children. Then special facilities are required for the to give the radioactive iodine. Then there can be a fear of thyroid carcinoma later in life, and so these are the major drawbacks of the radioactive iodine. Also, the onset of action of radioactive iodine is slow, and so when it is given to the patient, you have to start with the anti-thyroid drugs, that is the thiourea derivatives, because they are faster acting than the radioactive iodine. And for so to achieve early control, you have to start with the thiourea group of drugs, and then the radioactive iodine's effects can be seen after 4 weeks. So this is the another problem. Then coming to the next point, that is the indications for the radioactive iodine, indications of surgery, indications of the anti-thyroid drugs. Now indications of the radioactive iodine is that first is that radioactive iodine is given to all the patients above the age of 35 years of age. Generally the treatment is started with the thioamide group of drugs simultaneously when radioactive iodine is also given, and because radioactive iodine's effect is slow to develop, generally develops after 4 weeks. Then in recurrent hyperthyroidism, you have to start radioactive iodine. Then patients who are allergic to the thiamide group of drugs, you have to give the radioactive iodine. Then in cases where surgery is not possible, you have to give the radioactive iodine. Then coming to the indications of the anti-thyroid drugs can be started in all patients of hyperthyroidism. Generally, they are better choice in pregnancy, then in children, then in young adults with smaller nodule, smaller thyroid nodule, then in patients before surgery, undergoing surgery to make them euthyroid, and after the first dose of the radioactive iodine. So the after first dose of the radioactive iodine, you have to start the drugs after 7 to 10 days, and so that the effects can be seen early, and then the effects of the radioactive iodine can be seen. Now coming to the indications of the surgery. Now coming to the indications of surgery in hyperthyroidism, surgery is indicated in all patients who are having toxic multinodular goiter, then in toxic solitary nodule, in severe hyperthyroidism which cannot be controlled with the thioamide group of drugs, recurrent hyperthyroidism, and in patients who are suspected of having malignancy. So if there is a chance of malignancy, or if there is any doubt of malignancy, and malignancy cannot be ruled out, then you have to go for the surgery. Now coming to the management of the thyrotoxic crisis. Now, thyrotoxic crisis is a medical emergency and can occur due to the following reasons. First is the surgical storm. Now surgical storm means it can be thyrotoxic crisis seen after the thyroid surgery or after thyroidectomy. Now this can occur in the patients who are incompletely prepared or not prepared properly. So the for preparation, you have to give the Lugol's iodine and the thiourea group of drugs. So these are not given initially, and so because of this, you can see that the if the patients are not prepared properly, you can see that the thyrotoxic crisis can be seen. Then medical storm can occur in patients of hyperthyroidism. This medical storm means that is there is a severe infection, or there can be any other surgical procedures undertaken in a patients of hyperthyroidism, and that can lead to the thyrotoxic crisis. Now the clinical features of the thyrotoxic crisis: the patient may have hyperpyrexia, palpitations, sweating, tremors, agitation, delirium, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and dehydration. Severe dehydration can occur, and hypotension and coma can occur. So it is a medical emergency, and treatment should be given. Mostly symptomatic treatment is the and also you have to give the anti-thyroid drugs. Now let us see the treatment of the thyrotoxic crisis. Now coming to the management of the thyrotoxic crisis, the patient is in very severely ill, critically ill. It is a medical emergency. Patient should be admitted in ICU. Start the IV line, give the IV fluids to the patient, and you have to start with the treat the precipitating cause, that is if there is an infection you have to start with the antimicrobial agent. Now coming to the definitive treatment, that is first you have to give the thyroid inhibitors or the antithyroid drugs, that is the thiourea group of drugs. Here you have to start with the propylthiouracil, which is given. It is the drug of choice in thyrotoxic crisis because it prevents peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. Or you can use carbimazole also. High doses of propylthiouracil are given. Then coming to the next group of drugs, that is the iodides are given, that is the lugol's iodine or the sodium iodide, which is can be given parenterally. High doses should be given, and they are given in excess high doses. Then beta blockers like propranolol should be given, which is given parenterally intravenously, and it can be repeated every 4 hours. Then supportive measures in the form of the IV fluids, you have to correct the there is hyperpyrexia, so you have to give the antipyretics, do the cold sponging. Then if there is severe dehydration, you have to replace the IV fluids by ringer lactate. You have to give glucose, you have to give normal saline. Then you have to give the dexamethasone to the patient. Dexamethasone is also given 1 milligram intramuscularly every 8 hourly. And you have to treat the further give the vitamins to the patient, give the antimicrobial depending on the infection, and you have to treat the cause of the thyrotoxic crisis. In spite of all these measures, generally the mortality rate is very high in case of the thyrotoxic crisis. uh, so with this we have finished most of the antithyroid drugs. Almost all the parts of the all the points in the antithyroid drugs are covered. We have seen today the classification of the antithyroid drugs, what do you mean by goitrogen. Then we have covered each group of drugs, we have seen their advantages and disadvantages, and we have also seen the management of the hyperthyroidism and the thyrotoxic crisis. So with this we finish the antithyroid drugs. Thank you.